Hey guys, want to show your support to the channel and get some awesome rewards at the same time? Then go check out my Patreon page where at whatever tier you choose that fits your budget, you'll get plenty of rewards such as updates and announcements on the regular, exclusive sneak peeks of my videos before they go up online, get yourself credited, and receive a special shout out at the end of my videos and more. Go to patreon.com/AckleyAttack44227TV to start pledging today. And don't forget to also check out and consider gifting me any items I have listed on my Amazon wishlist and even supporting me on my Streamlabs tipping page that'll also help support the channel directly. Links are in the description box below as well as on my link tree for you to check out. Thank you and enjoy today's video. Take care. Hey guys, like what we do on our channel and want to see more videos from us? Then not to worry about a thing. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as turning on the notification bell so that way you can see more of our videos coming up very soon. Thank you and enjoy today's video. Hey guys, this is AckleyAttack4427 here, and welcome to another episode of WTPU, aka What the Pickup? Now, as you may recall, in the last episode of the show, which you can see right down over here, I talked about the 10-foot long green extension wire that's of course made by Bachmann Trains for of course pretty much the remote switches they currently got, to which I do find it to be a really great extension wire by far. I think they really did an impressive job with of course that one for sure. And yeah, given to what I've actually seen, it actually reaches quite well to one of my track switches that I currently got for sure. And yeah, I think given to all that, it was a massive help of course that front for sure. I know the other two track switches that I did get aside from that one still managed to reach towards pretty much it's a connection properly as they are for sure, but the extension wire really did help out a whole lot and of course getting where we need to be, and it not only functions quite well, but it really did help pretty much one of my track switches in a nutshell for sure. I really do think they did an impressive job on that, and I owe it all to them for making that possible. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say, of course, that front for sure. So yeah, if you want to check that episode out for yourself, then don't worry about a thing. There's a card over there over at the top right corner of the screen, as well as, of course, the link to it down the description box below. So yeah, whichever you prefer, go right ahead. I'll wait until you come back. Yeah, take all the time you need. I'll be here by the time you come back for sure. In fact, yeah, probably not that long for sure. Well, okay, yeah, I guess it can be long from what I can gather, but it might actually really inform you in a way that that is pretty much what I always do on, of course, this show for sure. So what's stopping me at this point? And you know, I think given to what I've actually just talked about, I do sometimes wonder on why I didn't talk about this one before hands down, let alone actually get that said item before for sure. I think that would have saved me so much trouble for sure. I mean, hey, better late than never, and well, I guess pretty much of anything, I'm still quite satisfied with how it turned out for sure. So yeah. no real harm done or anything. I actually do think it really helped out for sure. Although I guess pretty much from the way it's set up, I could have actually pretty much drilled some holes underneath. Yeah, pretty much drill some holes on my layout table and just feed the wires underneath there for sure. Which would be quite nice, but then again, I do have all sorts of boxes and stuff stacked underneath the table, so I guess that's out of the equation. But oh well, live and learn for what it is. Alright, I guess if how you did already see the last episode of this show, we might as well go ahead and start up this episode as we normally do. Well, I guess for today's episode, for sure, well, surprisingly enough, we are going to stick with, of course, pretty much some model trains for sure, and, well, surprisingly enough, seeing how we did already talk about several stuff revolving around Bachman for sure, many of which have actually really helped out, of course, my layout, whether it be stuff that they would do for the Thomas and Friends range, or, of course, just some things on their own for sure. But it actually does make me wonder, what about pretty much pretty much another model train company that reside across the pond, Hornby for sure. Well, surprisingly enough, that's of course what we're going to be talking about here today for today's episode. So yeah, seems like since after we've been through a whole lot with Bachman trains, and don't worry, I'm sure we'll definitely talk more about them later on this season before this year ends. I think it's time to shift gears for once and actually talk about something revolving around Hornby for sure. Sure, yeah, I think they actually do work on some stuff that are double O gauge for sure, but they do have the same functionality as Bachman trains for sure. Now, I guess taking the thumbnail and the title of this episode out of the equation, can anybody guess what we're actually talking about for today's episode that does actually revolve around Hornby? You don't know? I mean, come on, it's actually quite obvious given to what I'm actually gonna present. Give up? You're actually quite curious to know? Well, I'll go ahead and reveal them right now. So yeah, looks like we're actually going to be talking about a couple of Hornby models for sure. But it's not just any Hornby models, to which, surprisingly enough, there is a bit of a connection with, of course, the ones we're going to be talking about. Yeah, they are, of course, released by Hornby. They're a couple of rolling stock for sure. They're pretty much a couple of items I've been wanting to get for years, and they actually have a connection with Thomas and Friends. Curious to know? Well, I think it's time to reveal them right now, so here they are. So yeah, your eyes are not lying for sure. What I got right here is, of course, these two coaches right here for sure, to which in this case is basically Gorgon's Express coaches for sure, as of course made by Hornby. So yeah, you definitely naming pretty much of anything, pretty much Gorgon's composite coach and Gorgon's brake coach for sure. So yeah, these are the two that I've been wanting to get for a long time now for sure, and well, I guess it's after years and years and years and years, looks like we finally got them in my hands for sure, and boy, I am really quite thrilled for sure. So yeah, you would not believe on how much pain and trouble I went through to find a good listing for those two, but now that I finally got them in my hands for sure, I think it's about time that we finally talk about them on, of course, this show for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say, of course, that front. So with that being said, given to all that, I guess we shouldn't waste any more time, and well, let's dive right into, of course, these pieces of rolling stock for sure. So yeah, Alright guys, well, now that we got the overlong introduction out of the way, we can now go ahead and finally talk about the Hornby Goring Express coaches that we have right in front of us for sure. And yeah, I guess pretty much of anything. Before going into, of course, this one, you might be wondering to yourself, how the hell did I manage to get my hands on those two for sure? Well, I guess surprisingly enough, I might as well give you guys a little backstory for sure, because if anything, throughout my years collecting all sorts of Thomas merch for sure, I always know that ever since 2009, I've always stuck with, of course, pretty much what Bachmann Trains is actually providing for sure. But during my early years, pretty much collecting all sorts of Bachmann Thomas models for sure, going from 2009 all the way until early 2010, back when I first started collecting these models, aside from, of course, pretty much getting some of the models and stuff from Bachmann that they've been releasing at the time before they've really expanded on their Thomas & Friends range, I've also been meaning to, of course, actually explore pretty much another model train company that also used to produce the pretty much some models in their Thomas & Friends range, and that being, of course, Hornby. And of course, pretty much ever since then, if you have seen multiple of my videos revolving around my Bachmann and Hornby Thomas trains, I only pretty much own quite a good number of Hornby models for sure. Those range from, of course, a few scenery pieces, like, of course, the footbridges and cows that I currently have, to even, I think, some rolling stock as well. But probably by far the only Hornby Thomas model that I currently have in my collection is Doc for sure. Other than that, nothing much else from what I could gather, and I do find it to be such a shame from what I could gather, because if anything, I actually have been quite fascinated with what Hornby has actually done for sure. With, of course, their Thomas & Friends range, and despite the fact that it is a little different from what Bachmann is currently doing as of now, I really do think they really have a lot going for, hands down, to really pretty much make their Thomas & Friends range all the more successful for sure. And that's pretty much what they did right up until the range themselves is currently, since 2018, long since been discontinued for sure. And of course, I was quite ashamed upon hearing that for sure, because that would have been one of my many missed opportunities from what I can gather to really get a good chunk of these models for sure. But luckily, pretty much in regards to these coaches by far, I did manage to find a really good listing for them off of eBay for sure, because, yeah, out of several Hornby Thomas models that I've been wanting to get in my hands for sure, these two are definitely one of them from what I can gather. And yeah, and it's actually quite funny that I should mention that, because prior to getting those, I actually do currently own pretty much the exact same type of coaches that Hornby also made for sure. Those ones being, of course, James's Express coaches for sure. To which, for those who are wondering, yes, I still have them for sure. Ever since I got them back in probably like late 2013, early 2014, I couldn't remember at the top of my head. But regardless of that, I still think they did turn out really impressive for sure, and they're actually well worth it for sure. So I guess I actually held on to these two for well over a decade, prior to, of course, getting these two for sure. So yeah. But yeah, needless to say, pretty much Goring's Express coaches that Hornby has made are, of course, the couple of pretty much Hornby models that I've been wanting to get for years now for sure. And, well, luckily enough, since I did find a really good listing for them off of eBay, I was able to finally get these two hands down, and boy, I'm really hyped to finally get those in my hands. These have been pretty much, those have been a couple of Hornby Thomas rolling stock models, amongst plenty of others in the now defunct Hornby Thomas and Friends range that I've been wanting to get for a long time, and yeah, I really do think it's actually well worth it in the end for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say, of course, that front. And luckily enough, I did manage to have a good chat with, of course, the seller on eBay that actually were selling these two around that time. And of course, he really appreciated the comments that I actually gave to him on how much I've been wanting to get these two for sure. And he told me that he really appreciated that for sure, and hope they'll actually work well on my layout. Oh, I'll bet. So yeah. But needless to say, I can go on and on, of course, everything else regarding the Hornby Thomas and Friends range for sure, as of course there's plenty of models and stuff in that now defunct range that I've been wanting to get for a long time, and actually has been labeled as one of my many missed opportunities for sure. But of course, then again, I may have already talked about it in one of my past episodes that I did years ago for sure, and I might delve into, of course, pretty much that territory again, possibly for a future video later on down the road. But regardless on that, or right up until that day comes, I think we might as well get ourselves into, of course, talking about these coaches for sure, and yeah, literally from what I've actually seen by far, yeah, I think starting with the composite coach, from what I can gather, I am really digging, of course, what they actually did for sure with, of course, this, and alongside the brake coach for sure. Literally from what I can gather, if I can, yeah, pretty much stick with the composite coach and bring out the James coach pretty much for a good example, you can definitely tell that there is pretty much some similarities between pretty much these two type of coaches for sure. I think with, of course, literally from what I've actually seen, they're exactly the same size from what I can gather for sure. And if my knowledge is correct, even though technically Hornby wanted to make their Thomas and Friends range closely resemble pretty much the characters' engine counterparts for sure, to which, if you actually know the history of Hornby with their Thomas and Friends range, I guess it's pretty much what they've actually gone for, hands down, and I'll admit, I really do think it is actually a clever idea for sure, because if anything, for a while Bachmann actually mainly stick to making models revolving around the characters as shown in the TV show. Hornby, on the other hand, for a while they do want to, for a while they only take some liberties from the original Railway series books. I think it makes sense for them to be based off of their engine counterparts for sure, to which I do find it to be a really good idea for sure. But for the sake, pretty much in comparison with, of course, these two coaches, I think there might be some exceptions where, of course, they might actually resemble some parts from the TV show for sure. Again, as a good example of my Hornby duck that I've actually had in multiple of my videos in the past for sure. For a while, I guess it does make sense to have him based on, of course, his engine counterpart. I think he is the closest thing that actually does resemble his pretty much his character in the TV show for sure. I'm sure that might change once I do get the Bachmann duck later on down the road to see how it will compare, but again, I'll save it for another time for sure. So, but either way, I guess given to what I'm seeing shape-wise from what I can gather, I really do think pretty much they really did a good job, of course, that front, and yeah, I could definitely pretty much see they really put in a lot of hard-working effort for sure. And I guess the only difference from what I've actually seen for sure, aside from the fact that they almost do closely resemble the coaches as seen in the show for sure, despite the fact that pretty much I'm pretty sure they're the kind of coaches that Hornby did make in the past for sure. Pretty much amongst plenty of others, but I'm sure it'll take all day if, of course, I find out more about them for sure. I guess the only difference from what I can tell with, of course, pretty much this and the James coaches that I currently have is that pretty much of anything, the James coaches are, of course, all in red and white for sure, while the Gordon coaches are actually more towards green and yellow, to which I really do think is actually a good fit for sure. So yeah, these are the kind of coaches that I know James would actually pull. While we know hands down, these ones are, of course, the trademark for, of course, express coaches for sure. And Gordon will definitely pull them in a heartbeat for sure. So yeah, I guess pretty much of anything, I really do think they did an impressive job shape-wise with, of course, these kind of coaches for sure. And even the color scheme, I will have to say, is actually very impressive and, of course, technically correct for sure. I really do think they did an impressive job on, of course, that front. And, of course, with what I'm showing with, of course, these two coaches, mainly showing pretty much windows on one side. And, of course, on the other side is, of course, pretty much much smaller windows, and, of course, some doors that actually pretty much corresponding for sure. I really do think they really have a lot going for hands down, and yeah, I really do think they really did an impressive job for, of course, that front for sure. Yeah. And obviously, I think it makes sense, of course, that front, because if anything, the composite coach, I will have to say, really has a lot going for hands down for sure. And I really do think they really putting a lot of hard-working effort in, of course, what they put together with this one. And, of course, I can make the same argument for, of course, the break coach at the same time for sure. Yeah, I can tell pretty much they actually actually made stand out quite well for sure to actually putting any form of detail put into, of course, this one for sure. And with what I'm seeing from this side and the other side for sure, they really have a lot going for sure. And you can tell with, of course, multiple doors and windows, of course, the end of this break coach, they really have a lot going for from what I've actually seen. And I really do think it is actually quite nice for sure. So yeah. And well, yeah, I guess one other thing I forgot to mention from what I can gather, around the time I actually did get those straight off of eBay, I actually did get them used for sure, and yeah. And I guess there is one thing I should mention for sure is that I know a lot of people are not really big fans of getting some things off of eBay that are used for sure, as I think it would probably take away the value with, of course, the item for sure, particularly with what I'm showing with these two, but honestly, I disagree. I think pretty much from what I can gather, I can definitely say that you can actually find something valuable about pretty much these items, even if they're already used for sure. So yeah. I think pretty much of anything, since I did already get them used off of eBay, I think you can find something valuable about these two for sure, and that's okay in my book, hands down. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say, of course, that front. But that will also lead to the ultimate question, hands down. Seeing how I did get these two for sure, and I did actually bring up the Hornby the Hornby James coaches for sure. How well do they compare to let's say the Bachman versions that I also currently have for sure? Well, that is a very good question for sure. Now, I think the one thing to bear in mind is that pretty much of anything, the Bachman-Gordon Express coaches that you see right here, I still think are actually really impressive for sure. I actually did get them as part of the now discontinued Bachman-Gordon Express set all the way back in 2010 for sure, and I still find them to be really great coaches that are included into that set, and I guess pretty much of anything, that was of course pretty much that set where I also got Gordon for sure, and yeah, I really do think the Bachman version still did a nice job from what I can gather, though I guess if anything, I will admit the gap where, of course, one of the window, pretty much this gap over by the windows for sure, and of course the composite coach, I will have to admit, it is a little pretty much off-putting for sure, and not really what I hope for pretty much when it comes to that. But I will give the Hornby version credit in, of course, filling in that void with, of course, what it's actually giving us for sure. And yeah, I really do think it is a good case where Hornby actually did a much better job than what Bachman is actually done for sure. Now, I'm not saying the Bachman version of course, Gordon's composite coach is bad or anything. I mean, I still think it is actually pretty good, but I just kind of wish it could have been a little bit more to, of course, pretty much what I'm hoping for, hands down. Well, I guess for the Bachman-Gordon break coach, for sure, details like that from what I can gather for sure, I really do think they did an impressive job for sure. And oh yeah, I think I almost forgot to mention, I think I know pretty much on this side that I'm showing right now, I will also admit, despite the fact that of course the one issue I had on this side, the other side I will have to say is where pretty much I really do admire it for what it is for sure. I think they actually really have a lot going for hands out, and I really do think they did an impressive job. But anyways, back to the break coach for sure. Yeah, I really do think that coach for sure really has a lot going for hands down for sure, and I will have to admit, I think they still did an impressive job, of course, what they did with the Bachman-Gordon Express, the Bachman-Gordon break coach for, of course, this one. And surprisingly enough, the break coach that Hornby has actually made is pretty much on that same level for sure, and yeah, I think with, of course, what they did on both sides for sure to signify that the end of the Express is, of course, pretty much around that tail end for sure. I really do think Hornby did an impressive job, of course, on that front. But again, the Bachman version still did a good job. But I think it is another case where Hornby actually did a much better job, of course, on that front for sure. So yeah, I think pretty much of anything, comparing pretty much the Hornby Gordon Express coaches to the Bachman versions from what I can gather for sure, I really do think they really have a lot going for hands down for sure, and I really do admire what they actually did for sure to really actually make them stand out quite well. And I guess if anything, despite pretty much my comparisons for sure, to which I also pretty much need to mention for sure, is that pretty much the Bachman versions do have these pretty much doors and stuff that you can actually remove hands down, which I guess I know is pretty much optional for sure, which I guess is understandable. To which, yeah, I guess for what I guess oh, wow. Seems like that pretty much that closed door is really not cooperating with me for sure, so alright, I think I got it right, so yeah, I guess for while that is the case for the Bachman versions, hands down, the Hornby versions, on the other hand, clearly don't have any covers for the doors, hands down, as they're actually left wide open for sure, to which I guess is understandable from what I can gather for sure, but hey, I guess that's another easy difference that we can actually pretty much easily get ourselves roped into for sure. So yeah, definitely take it for what it's worth, and definitely take your pick on, of course, this one. Pretty much of anything, both model train companies still doing an impressive job, hands down, but I guess in terms of which ones you actually prefer, either the Bachmann versions or the Hornby versions, that's definitely up for a debate, hands down, for sure. So yeah, but then again, I might double into that for a possible future video later on down the road, but I can't fully guarantee that on my part for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say, of course, that front. So yeah, I think with, of course, me spending about 20 minutes actually talking about the differences between the two, I really do think, despite the fact that I did get them used, hands out, I still think Hornby did an impressive job with both of Gordon's Express coaches for sure, and I really do think pretty much seeing them up close, hands down, yeah, I will admit, it really actually made me happy for sure, and yeah, it did leave me feeling rather emotional, hands down. So yeah, just by seeing them up close from what I can gather, I really do think they really have a lot going for it, and I really do admire on what they actually did. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say, of course, that front. But now that leads to the ultimate question: how will it fare up on, of course, my layout for sure? Well, let's get these two up there and give them a good run, hands down. So yeah. Alrighty then, guys. Well, I guess pretty much just as after moving everything around, it looks like we finally got both of Hornby's Gordon Express coaches pretty much right onto pretty much on one of my tracks on my layout for sure. And about ready to give them a massive test run for sure. And for those who are wondering, yes, I did come fully prepared for, of course, this one, because surprisingly enough, what better way to actually let Gordon's Express coaches run on my layout than by Gordon himself for sure. So yeah, I think it makes sense, of course, that front, hands down, because seeing how they are actually his express coaches for sure, I think it makes sense to have Gordon actually run on, of course, on my layout with, of course, these two for sure. So yeah. And I guess I knew going into it for sure, that's pretty much what I actually had intended from what I could gather for sure. And yeah, I think it makes sense, of course, on that front. And even seeing my Bachmann Gordon connected to, of course, pretty much these two coaches right here, actually do feel nice for sure. I really do feel like it's taking me back to, of course, when I actually got pretty much him in that set that I've actually mentioned, Gordon's Express set that Bachmann used to make for sure. And I think he actually feels great for sure. So yeah, pretty much having the same ordeal, but with different express coaches for sure. So I knew hands down going into it, I guess it is actually going to be quite nice for sure. And I'm excited to see on how it's going to turn out for sure. And yeah, I think it's what I can say, of course, that front for sure. So with that being said, let's go ahead and pretty much get one of the tracks plugged in for sure. And yeah, looks like my controller for track 2 is all set and good to go. So yeah, I think I'm definitely saving power for, of course, pretty much for of course, yeah, for, of course, track 1, as shown by the speed controller, and, of course, the multi-accessory power supply all the way back over there, powering one of the other track switches, and, of course, the windmill and the lighthouse for sure. So I'm only doing that for a good measure. So yeah, with that being said, let's get Gordon moving right now and see what happens. So here we go. All right, just need to give Gordon a good push. Yeah, there we go. So Alright, I'm hoping yeah, there we go, so... Alrighty then, well, I guess despite a little derailment that we actually had for sure, and I think it actually gave one of the footbridges a slight push for sure, but not to worry, I'm sure that'll be an easy fix. Yeah, I guess regardless on that, I think it seems like pretty much the Hornby Goring Express coaches actually run pretty well. Of course, my layout as expected for sure, and yeah, I think from what I've actually seen, yeah, despite a few bumps, I think Gorgon did an impressive job giving these to a good pull. Of course, my layout as expected, and I really do think, yeah, I really do think it actually is quite nice for sure. Probably gonna have a little fix up from what I've actually seen, but regardless on that, I think it looks like these two coaches actually run pretty well for sure, so yeah, I guess it's what I can say, of course, that front. So yeah, overall, the Hornby Goring Express coaches that you see right here, I really do enjoy them for sure, and I really do think they really did an impressive job, of course, giving us what we hope for, hands down, and yeah, it's such a shame I didn't get to those two some point around earlier for sure. I think they would have actually been quite nice for me to have if I did actually get them earlier for sure. But I'm glad I did right now for sure. And I think it was actually well worth it in the end for sure. So yeah, I guess pretty much for what it is, I really enjoyed both of the Goring pretty much express coaches that Hornby actually made, and seeing how I did get them used off of eBay, I really do think they are quite valuable for sure, and I really do admire on what they've actually done from what I can gather, and yeah, in the end, I really do think they're actually well worth the recommendation on my front for sure. So I guess if anything, does that mean I might get more coaches like these two some point around in the near future? Well, yeah, probably from what I can gather, because yeah, bit of an interesting story that I should mention is that if you are quite familiar with one episode of the Thomas TV show, which was one of the episodes from season 1, which is of course Henry to the Rescue, or Edward, Gorgon, and Henry if you live in the UK, I think based on my knowledge, Gorgon was actually pulling at least 3 of the composite coaches for sure, and actually 2 of the brake coaches for sure, so yeah, I guess pretty much of anything. If I do want to expand the express line for, of course, a good number of my Bachmann Thomas models for sure, I think it's pretty much what I have in mind, of course, that front for sure. Now, I guess pretty much of anything for the case of Bachmann, I can definitely do that for sure. Yeah, I think with, of course, with Bachmann currently having pretty much their version of Goring's Express coaches, plus the Regging White or Regging Yellow composite coach and brake coaches, I think that actually is possible. While for the sake of Hornby, well, I guess it would be possible I would, but that would depend on, of course, if there's another good listing on eBay for me to get exactly what I need for sure. So we'll definitely have to wait and see, of course, that front, hands down for sure, because you may never know on what will actually pop up for sure. And I guess probably by the time this episode goes live for sure, I do have one more of these composite coaches that I also ordered off of eBay not too long ago that I should be expecting hands down for sure. So I'm probably not going to cover that because, well, I did already have a good time covering these two in this episode for sure, so yeah. Either way, I think it's what I can say, of course, that front, hands down, so. But yeah, like I said, I'm glad I finally got these two, and they're well worth the recommendation on my front for sure, so yeah, I definitely know it made Gordon happy just by hearing that for me, and that's okay in my book, so yeah, but regardless on that, I really love the Hornby Goring Express coaches, and they're well worth the recommendation. But of course, that leads to another question for sure before I wrap up this episode. Am I going to stick with, of course, these two and get rid of the Bachman versions? Honestly, no, for sure, because if anything, as valuable as, of course, pretty much these two are, and I'm glad that I got those, I still want to make use of the Bachman versions, hands down. So my solution to that problem, I'll just go for both brands for sure, so yeah, I guess pretty much of anything, I can go back and forth between the two brands for sure, and I really do think that is, of course, what really matters on, of course, my front, hands down, and if that's the direction I want to go, I think it'll be well worth it in the end, so yeah, at least that's what I can say, of course, that front, so yeah. And I guess given to that thought alone, I think I'll definitely end this episode here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this latest episode. And by all means, let me know down in the comments down below on what you thought of this one for sure. I would love to know on what you guys think. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say, of course, that front. Thank you guys so much for watching this latest episode, and, well, I guess on that thought alone, I think we might as well leg Goring off pretty much with, of course, his express run for sure, so yeah. I guess pretty much of anything, that is probably the only way I could end this episode, so I think we're going to leg Goring off with, of course, pulling the coaches out of the station. Yeah, I guess that's the proper way to do it, and yeah, off he goes as usual. So yeah, I think that'll be a good way to end this episode here. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next episode. With, of course, Goring coming all the way back for sure, but hey, I think it's still well worth it for sure. So yeah. I'll definitely see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Special thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon for making today's video possible, including my top tier supporters for this month, VD. So if you want to be like these guys and show your support to us, then go to patreon.com/AckleyTackTV to pledge now, do so, and get some awesome rewards within your budget. Hey guys, this is AckleyTack4427 here. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Feel free to like, comment, and share if you enjoy what you're seeing. If you like what you see here and want to see more videos coming up, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and switch on the notification bell to get notifications, and select all notifications to be notified for when we post a new video. And don't forget to switch on notifications on your phone as well. Also, don't forget to check out my second channel and our 2-member channel with Sam the Thomas Fan 1, SamAttack4427TheThomasFan1 Productions, for plenty more content you can't find on here. You can check both of our channels out with the links or by our handles provided on screen. Feel free to shoot me an email with my email address provided, backley95@hotmail.com, if you want to ask me a question, want to collab with me for a project you've got in the works, or if you want to book me to be featured for a convention coming up. Follow me on my social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up to date with me on updates, announcements, and new releases of my videos, as well as plenty of others I've got with my handles provided, as well as the links down in the description box below. Also, don't forget to follow me on TikTok for other videos I've got aside from the ones I've posted on YouTube,
and on Twitch for any future live streams I've got coming up soon, as well as join our official Discord server to see what we've provided. If you wish to show your support to me, then feel free to check out my Patreon to get sneak peeks of my videos coming up before they go up online, as well as getting access to updates and playing more, in addition to getting some awesome rewards within your budget. Also, don't forget to check out and show your support to me on my wishlist on Amazon, and even supporting me at streamlabs.com/AckleyTACTV/tip that you can find in the description box below, as well as on my Twitch page. And in case you can't find any of the links that are provided, then not to worry about a thing. All the links and stuff are also provided on my link tree that you can also find in the description box below, as well as a few selected number of my social media pages. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video. Take care.